Hello there, welcome back to Lovin Sheila, the podcast. We are here at episode 9. And wow, I think we're just gonna have to refresh because we've been moving along and we've been getting a lot done. We've been talking about a lot, and I think we're making great ground. And I think that we have introduced so much content, so much information that I feel like I might be having trouble absorbing it all and implementing and executing it all. So kind of want to sit back and refresh and kind of go over this thing a little bit because I'm feeling a little emotionally exhausted, and this lets me know that it's time to tune in again, to tune into myself and see where we are and how everything is processing, because I want to make sure it is processing. And I guess this is kind of a report card, and I hope that many of you are going along this journey with me, and that's why I feel like I need to reprocess or reset a little bit and tune into some feelings. Then maybe you all do too. Yesterday, I had a day where I felt like I was being pulled in a lot of directions and a lot of things were being asked of me, and I felt like a lot of emotional support was needed from me. And I will be very frank that I am feeling a little vulnerable at this time, and I feel like my emotional supply might be limited. And so when I feel like I'm exerting a lot of energy with situations around me in the world, which yes, I want to be a help and I want to be a friend, at the end of the day, I feel like it has taken a lot out of me. It's kind of like kryptonite, unfortunately. You know how Superman would be very weak after the kryptonite? Well, this superwoman, after exerting a lot of emotional energy, if I'm tuning in, I'm realizing it's taking something from me. And so I'm taking today to hopefully replenish and restore. And this is some awareness that I think that we ought to have, knowing when we have kind of been depleted and knowing when we need to restore ourselves and give ourselves some time and some space and the energy needed in order to be happy and be more effective. And so that's where I am right now. Emotional supply is limited. So much I talked to my therapist this morning, and I kind of share with her, and she's the one who identified that term, emotional supply. And so your girl is limited right now. There are a lot of things, and this is the thing I think when we talk even about the strong black woman, we go through different things, and we are, we're standing strong and we're upright, we're not laid out, we're not crying, we're still looking beautiful, we're still pulling ourselves together. And so everyone thinks that everything is fine with you. So let's talk about me, I think. And so not knowing that you're just strong enough to try to endure, to get through some things or to process some things and still do the things that you need to do, but you have a limited amount of resources to give. And so I think, again, that's part of the dichotomy of the strong black woman. We keep moving forward, we do the things that we need to do, and when you look at us from the outside, you don't see that possibly there's some hurting going on, there's some perseverance that we're trying to continue, there's some fighting the good fight, but it takes energy, okay? It takes energy. And so it's a lot of energy being used to do the normal stuff. So extras are extra. And so extras leave you a little depleted of your emotional supply literally at the end of the day. And so I am working through that and realizing, how could I feel so empty? Oh, I think I feel so empty because I've used most of my energy to maintain. And so anything extra is really tapping into everything I got. And thank God for the grace of God, the strength of God. But I'm at a place where I need, and I'm Lovin Sheila, and I have to take care of myself. And here leads me to where I wasn't planning to go, but I guess it leads me to boundaries, because you have to also recognize, how much do I want to give, knowing what it's going to cost me. And it doesn't cost you financially, but it costs you emotionally and mentally. And so there's that energy that goes into that, where you have to measure it, and you have to know, I have to know what I'm capable of giving. And maybe a Sheila of 10 years ago may have given this much, and 5 years ago given this much, and 1 year ago given this much. But today, what am I capable of giving? And respect myself enough to know that if I give it all, then I am depleted and I still have work to do. So this is, again, part of our tuning in and taking care of ourselves, just knowing what we have to give. And I think that's, as I say this to you, this is me working through it, because we need to know what we have to give. And, different times we have more than other times. And that's what we need to realize. And so hopefully, as I say this to you all, you guys are taking account of yourself and checking out your available resources and seeing what you have to give. And we're not doing more than we are capable of. So ladies, think about it, and make sure that your boundaries are being expressed there, because I know we want to be good friends and good partners and good parents, but there is a cost. And a good friend and a partner or a child would understand that they don't want to put too much on you. All right? So think about that, ladies. So once we think about that, I think that will actually put us in a better place, and it gets us to where, we're recessed and we can reset, okay? Take care and reset. So all the things that we talked about previously, they're coming right back up. And so I was talking to my therapist, and we were talking about different things, and we got into this hierarchy of needs, and it's by Maslow. And what we were discussing is how, food and shelter and food, shelter, clothing, those are basic needs. I mean, those are the basic things. That's not anything extra. So if, say for instance, you're giving that to your child, you've only supplied what is required of you. Those are our basic needs. But there's so much more. That's where we get started. So I know a lot of times men feel like they were our providers, and they've done their job. They took care of you. They put a house over your head. House over your head, house over your head, food in your belly, or whatever, and they have done their job. But I venture to submit to folks that that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more. And so that's part of the physiological needs in Maslow. And then there's the safety needs, okay? I have a very strong need for safety, for security, to be able to trust folks. And I can only speak for myself, but I'm sure it's a general thing. I'm probably most likely not unique, but there's a very strong need for that. And I know that it comes from different things that I experienced in my childhood and so forth. But that is the second basis in Maslow, safety needs. It's personal security, health, employment, things that guarantee you some stability. So I consider safety with stability. So now we're moving on up in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And then next we have love and belonging, and that is friendships, a sense of connection, family. So you want to experience love, and when I think of love, I want to really categorize it with unconditional love, meaning regardless of the situation, regardless of circumstances, who you are, what you do, one thing is unchangeable, and that is my love for you, my desire to want the best for you, regardless of my relationship with you or my standing with you. It's that I want what is best for you, and I will support you in that emotionally. Remember, we talked about emotional support being so vitally important. As a matter of fact, there was a book, Parenting from the Heart, that was suggested to me that talks about the emotional support for children. But just that unconditional love, that sense of belonging, that connection. We want to feel connected. And I would say, for me, at least, or with my son, I paid the cost to be the boss. And not that I'm the boss, because I don't want to run him, but I hope that the effort that I put into his raising lets him know that I'm in it with him, and that's the cost. Meaning, I don't know, the dirty diapers, the homework, the arguments, the dealing with the teenage years, all those things, me paying the cost. I stood by you during all this, so hopefully you understand where my heart is. My heart wants the best for you, not just for me. But anyway, so there's the love and belonging, and then there's esteem, and that's respect and self-esteem and status and recognition and strength and freedom. And so I think it's so important that within our relationships that we give folks freedom to exist as who they are, without any manipulation or any criticism or guilting, but freedom to be who you are. Because when we give that freedom, I believe that we're showing unconditional love. I love you not based on what I want you to be, what I think you can be, but who you are, and I accept you. And so that acceptance, I believe, is the reason why they say esteem, because it provides them with the self-esteem and the belief in themselves that they can do anything. As my brother says, that's the value of mothers, because mothers make you feel like you are invincible. You can do anything. And I think, I do think a good mother does that. And the next and last, at the top of the hierarchy, is self-actualization. And I would interpret that as the culmination of all these things working together, your physiological needs, your safety needs, your love and belonging needs, your esteem. And I'll stop there. We just want to be complete people. And so the next thing that I've been doing my Dr. Cloud, and we've been addressing codependence, as you know, and within that we're talking about people pleasing. And this is not a favorite topic of mine, and nor is codependence, not at all. But it's something that I feel needs to be addressed. So codependence, not one of my favorites, but grabbing the bull by the horn. Within codependence, we're talking about people pleasing. And again, that's not quite a characteristic that I thought I have. However, I realized that I have a strong desire for harmony in my relationships. And as a result, it might just cause me to be a bit of a people pleaser. And boy, oh boy, thanks. Again, another heart-wrenching gut check. But okay, so if we're going to be a people pleaser, let's address that, because that's not what I want. And it's interesting because I had talked to my sister about some things that were going on in my life a while back, and then we got together, and she was telling me, and she said, I know that you said you're a people pleaser, and I was kind of like, what? No, I didn't say that. But I didn't say that in those words, but everything that I said amounted to being a people pleaser. And I think it mainly exists within my family, like, maybe growing up within my family, and then within the family that I created, and then just trying to keep all the pieces working together in harmony, because it gave me a sense of safety. It made me feel like, okay, I can breathe, I can relax. But when things were not harmonious, then it was very tense for me. And like I mentioned, the way I'm built, I get kind of uptight. So I guess I people please in order to maintain harmony and to make sure I had a sense of safety, which again is one of those essential needs according to Maslow. So I did what I felt I needed to do to maintain that safety. And I don't believe that it was the right thing, because you acquiesce to things that maybe you wouldn't have, and you don't push back on things that maybe you would have, because you are desiring harmony. And harmony is good, but at the same time, in desiring harmony and giving in, I guess you really don't stand up for yourself, and you subject yourself to bullying or just being very passive. And so I have started to realize that it's okay for people to be upset because I say no or didn't acquiesce to their demands. Because another thing Dr. Cloud said, it's who are you making mad? Because absolutely, standing up for yourself and saying no or whatever the case may be will cause division. It can cause division because you are dividing things and you're saying this is okay, this isn't okay. It's like boundaries again. Everything goes back to boundaries. And so when you realize, well, I can stand up for myself and I can tell you no, and I don't have to acquiesce to whatever it is you want. And one of the conversations I had with someone who I felt this happened with is, he tried to guilt me, and I told him, well, if you choose to do that or you choose not to do this, that's on you. It's not on me, because that was your choice. And I'm not going to take responsibility because you made a poor choice, a choice that alienates me or isolates us, but you're so stubborn that you want to stand by that choice, then that's on you. And I'm not going to hang my head, I'm not going to be sad, and I'm not going to look back on that, and I'm going to stand by my ground. So what will happen is there is division, but maybe, this person will come around and they'll change their stance on what they have this firm stance on, and I also have a firm stance. So maybe they'll come around. But the bottom line is I'm not going to do it because you want me to, because that makes it just bullying, especially since it's not anything that could hurt anyone. So that's what I mean. People pleasing, it's or lack of not people pleasing, is the ability to stand up for what you believe in, what you think is right, letting it divide if necessary, but you'll feel good about yourself in the process because you know you did the right thing. And that's how I felt in this particular situation. So I don't want to be a people pleaser. I don't want people to dislike me. I don't go around hoping everybody hates me. That's not the objective. But I want to make sure that the decisions that I make are internal. They're mine, not coming from someone else through compulsion. But they're my decisions, and I can live with it, and I feel good about the decisions that I make. And when they're internal, and when they're from the heart and the soul, then they feel good. They feel like something you can stand behind. And another thing that my one of my sisters said to me, about standing up for yourself. I'm glad you stood up for yourself, and I'm like, oh my God, did I not stand up for myself? Like that was my thought process. But quite frankly, I didn't see having these uncomfortable conversations as not standing up for myself. And I guess that's where the people pleasing comes in. I always felt like I was very capable of standing up for myself. What I always felt is I chose my battles. And I'm sure it's good to choose your battles, but some battles must be fought. I guess that's what I learned. It's okay, there's some battles where you might choose, if it's red lipstick or pink lipstick. I don't know, something trivial like that. But matters that are emotionally important and affect your emotional supply and your emotional energy, and that's where areas you need to stand up and you need to speak up and allow the division to come if it comes. Or maybe a novel idea is there won't be division. Maybe there'll be respect and they'll see your point of view, and we'll learn to compromise instead of ultimatums or my way or the highway or this is the only way to go. So evaluate our stance on people pleasing, evaluate what we think about it, because I know that what it is, I am guilty. I don't want to use that word, but you can put a check mark next to that. I've done it. And I'm looking to not do it. Because I said it's all about me. And, of course I don't mean that I'm going to be selfish forever. And that's not to be selfish at all. But it's about internalizing and knowing how I feel about this. And be real about it. Don't be duplicitous, not duplicitous in our actions and our thoughts. Don't feel this way about it, but do this. Align those things. What's inside of here, communicate that. Okay, so that's what I want. So we won't be people pleasers. We will please ourselves and hopefully please others. And I hope that we have not yes people around us, but a support system who there's a mutual respect. And so it's going to work for us. So consider that. I know it's an ugly term, people pleaser, and I'm saying name me amongst those people, but I am exiting that club. I'm renouncing my affiliation with that club, and I'm moving into a different direction today. The last thing I want to talk about is a phrase that is very common now, and I didn't fully understand this. I actually think about 6 months ago, I told my brother, explain this to me. And so I've gotten more and more information. Actually, it was a part of the protecting yourself from toxic people, because apparently it's a very common action, and that is gaslighting. And I'm just going to say it's when people give you an alternate reality, they try and give you an alternate reality. And I know my friend and I, we used to call it, after we saw Raw, Jedi mind tricks back in the day. But it's giving you an alternate reality and not really validating what happened, making you feel like you're crazy. I have so many days felt, am I crazy? Did this happen? Was I wrong? And I would look to my friends for some validation. Like, okay, this happened, and am I crazy? I mean, who's crazy here? One of us is crazy. Is it me, or is it them? Because something's not right. And so now I realize what that is. It's gaslighting. And Dr. Cloud said it often comes from narcissists, defensive people people who don't want to take responsibility, or even sociopaths. Instead of acknowledging reality, they would prefer to flip it and give an alternate view of reality and try and make you believe it. And the question is, so it's a reality shift. The question is, what do we do with that? Because, because all I could say is, typically when it happens to me is, am I crazy? Who's crazy? Again, it's because it just leaves you with that mindset. But I think understanding it and seeing it for what it is, when it's happening, is so important. And that's what I'm challenging myself to do. I know my reality. I'm pretty bright. I got some common sense. I have some street sense. I have some educational background. So I don't think I'm crazy. I think that it's just manipulation. And so we need to identify when we are being manipulated and see it for that, and not question our own reality, but recognize what's going on and take an empowered approach to how we deal with it. I realize that the reality for what it is obviously threatens the person who's doing the gaslighting, for whatever reason. So they want to have you to have this altered perception or this altered view. But what we can do is we can avoid validating that. We are not going to assure them that they're right. Everybody needs feedback and correction. I need feedback and our correction, and that's why in the past I would ask that question, am I crazy? But that's not the question. And denial is what is evident there. But there's no place for gaslighting in our relationships. We have to be real. We have to deal with things as they are. And so when you recognize this in your relationships or you see patterns, do this. This is what I was told and how to respond. Give it to them. Okay, I understand you think that was red, but it's clear to me that was blue. So you are allowing them to have their reflection or deflection or their idea of reality. But you're saying that reality is on you. You can play games and you can live in a fantasy world if you like. But as for me, I'm not going to question my sanity or anything else. I know that it was blue. So I'm just using colors because I not want to get too specific. But that's how Dr. Cloud encourages us to deal with it. So it doesn't require us to question our sanity, our reality, or anything like that. It requires us to discern what we're dealing with. And if we're dealing with someone who is gaslighting us, this is an appropriate response. And what you're doing with this appropriate response is you are owning your reality. Yeah, this is my reality, and I know, and I am confident in myself, and I trust in myself, and I have done the work to understand who I am and what I'm dealing with, and this I know. So we're owning our reality. We are creating our reality. We are not existing in denial. We're not manipulating. We're not people pleasing. We are not denying our needs. We are fully encompassing all of these things, and to get to that self-actualization, being the best Sheila or the best whomever we can be. And so the things that I mentioned are just things that are possible to tear down, and we don't want to tear down, we want to build up. Gaslighting is to tear down. So people pleasing is to minimize who you are because you're not giving your full self. So those are things that bring you down, but we are trying to get to self-actualization where we are our best self and we are loving ourselves, and that's what it's all about. So these are all just resources and insights that I've received that I want to share with you, because I think it's important in this ever growing, ever learning world. We must continue to do that. Like we said, we're going to evolve or we will evaporate. So we did the report. We know we need some emotional stability. We know that there's sometimes a limited emotional supply. Just so tune into that. Know what you need. Know where you're going. Know the things that are downfalls to you. Stand up for yourself. Take care of yourself. Okay? That's how you take care of yourself. All these things, just being mindful, because if I was not mindful, if I didn't say, hey, I feel really drained, I just gave out a lot, then I would not be looking to understand it and do something about it. And so I guess it's kind of like James Brown at the end of his show, and when they come and put that cape on him, and it's like he can't go no more or whatever. I guess he knows it's over. It's time for me to go. It's time for me to recover and replenish. So I hope these are tools that help you recover, replenish, and grow and love yourself more fully, more completely. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. I want to hear from you so much. Thank you for joining me. And until the next Lovin Sheila, the podcast, take care of yourself.